Alright guys, welcome back to the second part of this video for Beyond the Precon. We saw Rocket on Monday and it is now Friday. It is time for I Am Groot. But before we go any further, guys, if you like these videos, please, that thumbs up. Give me a like, give me a subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And please leave your comments on what you like about the big tree, how you play them, what's your favorite aspect, and if you have any suggestions for the rest of the community that are watching these videos. All right, here we go. So Mr. Groot in the precon, he is Groot in alter ego. He is an outlaw with 4 recovery, hand size of 6, and 10 hit points. You'd think he'd be more beefy, 10 hit points. But he has something called the Growth Spurt, which is an action to place 2 growth counters on Groot to a maximum of 10, limits once per round. All right. And then we have Groot in hero form. He has 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense. He is a guardian of the galaxy and the Flora Colossus forced interrupt. It says when Groot will take any amount of damage, remove that many growth counters from him. And for each growth counter removed this way, prevent 1 of that damage. Now this is very interesting because you cannot use things that prevent damage. So that force interrupt means you have to take, if you're going to take any amount of damage, you're going to removing those growth counters. So if the villain attacks and you're not defending, well, instead of your hit points defending, it's your growth counters. So that's why it can go to a maximum of 10. So technically, every growth counter is an extra health. So that's pretty impressive. So Groot can become very, very powerful. All right. So let's take a look at some of the cards that make him unique. All right. So first one is Fertile Ground. Now this is your money card. All right. Fertile Ground says support alter ego action, exhaust Fertile Ground, place a growth counter on Groot, and draw a card. Now this is an alter ego thing. So when you go down to alter ego, you go down, you use his action. So you place 3 growth counters, and then on the next turn you place another 3. So you are... Every time you go to Alter Ego, you now have technically plus 6 health because you get 3 growth counters and then on the next turn 3 growth counters. So that's 6 growth counters when you flip up. So that is super, super solid. This is the money card here, Fertile Ground. He also has a couple of other superpower cards. The Lashing Vines, which readies him at the count at the expense of 2 growth counters after he uses a basic power. So you get to choose when you want to do it. So let's say you defend and then you're like, oh, I took no damage. Well, I'll take the 2 growth counters and then ready. All right, so that's really fun. And then you have the other one. So you have the attack one, which is the vine spikes. You have the thwart one, which is the entangling vines. And then the vine shield, which gives him plus 3 defense. So again, plus 2 thwart, plus 2 attack. So 2 attack, 2 thwart, and 3 defense. So that can be really, really powerful. So he can become a 3, 4, 6 if you use the growth counters. So again, you kind of want to use those growth counters a lot in the beginning until you can, well, we'll see. We'll talk about that. Then he has his thematic cards. Now, these ones are Fruition. So this allows you to put 2 more growth counters to a maximum of 10. That's always fun. So, it just grows the tree a little bit more. But this is your early game card here, the Root Stomps. This is the card you want to be playing. I know getting all those a lot of group counters is good, but this is the card when you are starting off that game. So 5 damage to an enemy, and if this attack defeats an enemy, place a growth counter on Groot. So yes, super, super, super strong. Very, very cool. Now, when you're in your mid to late game, you want to be playing the I Am Groots. And this says, deal damage to an enemy equal to the number of growth counters on Groot. So this is, you have 10 growth counters, boom, he does 10 damage for 2. But again, it takes a while before you can get up there. But once you're up there, oh my gosh, is it amazing. Then we have this Thwart card, which is 3 cost, I Am Groot, which is same thing, removes threat equal to the number of growth counters. So that's always interesting. And finally, one of my favorites, We Are Groot. And then you can remove up to 4 growth counters and give up to 4 characters, a tough status card. Now, very, very fun. I love Groot's his kit. It's very cool. But I think one of the things you want to learn is don't be afraid to spend the Groot counters in the early game, you know, to extra defense, extra thwart, or extra attack, whatever. Use those Groot counters, but once you find that fertile ground, then your game can begin. So that is kind of like his key card. All right, then let's take a look at what he can do. He comes with protection, so that's why it was kind of a weird combo. We had the aggressive character that doesn't really do a lot of damage early, and then we have a defensive character that doesn't really do anything early game. So it was very interesting with the campaign box, these two heroes. But again, that's it's for another time. All right, let's take a look at the precon and how we can make it just a teeny weeny better. All right, so just like his counterpart, Groot came with 10 reprints. Again, I think 10 reprints is a lot. So we got the 2 powers of protection, the 3 double resources, which was 5. We got the desperate defenses that we saw in Doctor Strange's pack. And then we got 2 Indomitables. That's 10 out of 30 cards that are, you know, just that we've seen before. So a little disappointed in that, but yeah, that's just me. Especially, I think these powers of protection really didn't need to be there. Especially considering that there's only like 3-4 cards that you can use on the powers of. So I thought that was just, yeah, you know, it was room for improvement, obviously. What would I have put instead? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the guy making the things. But whatever. That's neither here or there. All right, so we really got some really cool new cards, though. We got some really fun cards for the perfect defense strategy. We got Fighting Fit. As long as your health total is bigger than or is the same or higher than your starting life total, you can deal 5 damage for 2. It's pretty good. That's like Uppercut, but cheaper. But it's only on the villain. You got Dauntless, which gives you Retaliate as long as you have the same thing condition, more health than your starting or equal to your starting total. Then we got Hard to Ignore, one of the best protection cards upgrades that we have. It says after you defend and take no damage, you can remove threat, and then you can have 3 of those in play. So it's not maximum 1. It's up to 3, so that's 3 threat removal when you defend with a perfect defense and a retaliate. Super, super solid. And then we got Starhawk, and then when Starhawk takes damage exactly to his remaining hit points, you return him to your hand. So a thwart of 1, an attack of 2, or whatever in whatever order, or an attack of 2 against something with retaliate, he bounces right back to your hand. And then Rocket, which is a fun ally who gives +3 attack and overkill as long as he's attacking minions. Super, super fun. And then Death Focus, which is a great card, especially in his kit, because everything that Groot plays is a superpower, and it reduces the cost of superpowers. And max 1 per player. Unfortunately, again, it's not a card that you could play under anybody else. So, yeah, it's just weird for me. These cards that you can't play under anyone else's control, and they're a max 1 per player. And then you got Flora and Fauna. There you go. And then so that's his kit. So what you want to be doing is obviously you want to try to defend as much as possible, keep your health up, and bring your growth counters up. You only lose growth counters if you take damage. So that's really fun. So you can kind of build them up fast, especially if you use those root stomps and stuff like that. And if you have the fertile ground, obviously, then you're just laughing and can do some major, major fun things. Okay, so how would I upgrade this precon? Well, it's not that hard. There's a bunch of cards that I would remove, and let's take a look. All right, so the first cards I would remove, obviously, Dauntless. We don't need to have 3 in our deck, just since we can only have 1. So these are the first 2 I would remove. Same for Death Focus. I would only keep 1, so that's already 4 cards gone. Then I would remove a couple of Fighting Fits, 5, 6. Why? Because, again, if I have 2 for 10, I'm going to focus more on trying to stay healthy than just trying to do the 5 damage. So I'd still leave 1 just because it's a fun little card. And then the final one I would remove would be an Indomitable. But so you're like, well, okay, so we remove 7 cards, 2, 4, 6, 7. Not that bad. What would you add? Well, kind of the same thing that our friend was missing. The first one I would add would be a armored vest. So then I'm defending for 4 minimum. So that means the boss really has to hit hard to start removing counters. Then I would add a couple of med teams. Again, just because, again, I have these 2 powers of protection. Might as well put some cards that are green in there that can help me. So, oh yeah. Oh, sorry. This is what I would remove. No, sorry. I'm removing 1 power of protection, and I'm keeping these 2 Indomitables. Sorry. I was like, what am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. And then I would add another ally in Black Widow, again, just because she can cancel stuff. She's 2 threat removal, and then she can maybe become a blocker. So there you go. And then what else would I add? Well, it's not hard. Again, the decks were missing a lot of allies. So Mockingbird for a free stun, Nick Fury, and an Avengers Mansion just for some extra card draw. And then you have yourself a pretty sweet Groot deck in protection. Again, the problem in Groot and protection, and this is my big problem with Groot protection, is once you find that fertile ground, you always want to go down to just replenish those growth counters. So that's where I find Groot and protection is kind of weird, because you're supposed to be like the tank that just takes on the damage, and you kind of want to flip down a lot. So that's, for me, that was kind of like my big thing with Groot. I was like, that's annoying. So again, so there's more than one strategy here. I actually really like Groot in aggression, and I really like him in justice as well. So those are my 2 favorite aspects to play Groot in. But Groot protection, although he can trigger the perfect defense strategy very, very well, I find it just a little awkward still. I think there's just a few cards missing, and mostly because of his thing here. So he can trigger cards like Desperate Defense because he's adding to his basic, but other cards that would prevent damage from happening don't work. So that's kind of like the soft spot here. All right, so here we go. So let's go take a look at some of the hero packs that I believe can really, really enhance your Groot experience in some of the other aspects, and also in protection, because he's not that bad. All right, so for Groot, it was kind of hard to find some hero packs that really, really made sense for him. I think the hero packs that make the most sense are the heroes that really showcase protection with the perfect defense. And I think the best hero pack you can get if you want to go with Groot would be the Quicksilver pack. The reason why is, first of all, it gives you the Nerves of Steel that pays for defense events. But you're like, Steve, there's no defense events. I know, but if you are playing the Groot strategy, it already comes with desperate defense. And with the hero pack of Quicksilver, then you get a card like Never Back Down, which allows you to stun the villain now. So that's also so you can use your ability to stun the villain. So basically defending twice in a turn, which I think is really, really cool. And then you get this really cool ally called Multiple Man that you can just shove 3 in your deck, and then just have 4 blockers, 5 blockers the time you grow those grow counters. So it's pretty interesting. And also he comes with the Sense of Justice that allows you to play for your Justice events. So if you do want to play Groot and Justice, pretty good. There is one card that I didn't mention, and you're probably wondering why. It is the Sidestep, because the Sidestep is a interrupt, and this is a force interrupt. This doesn't work again with Groot unless he has no counters. If Groot has no counters, then this works. But if Groot has counters, this does not work. So that's why I didn't mention it. All right. Second hero pack that I highly recommend to get would be the Vision pack. Again, why Vision? Because again, he comes in protection, and he's got some sweet cards like Flow Like the Water. So every time you are going to be playing defense cards, so with generally happens with Groot, protection. So you'll at least get a payoff. Then you get Defiance, which assures us that whenever you defend, you're never going to lose a Groot counter. And then you got Jocasta that brings back cards like the Defiance or the Never Back Downs or the Desperate Defenses, which is pretty good. And then you get the card like Meditation, which you can always exhaust Groot to pay for, let's say, Helicarrier or Avengers Mansion, which is pretty fun. All right, then the third hero pack that I would recommend, just again for that perfect defense strategy with Groot, would be Doctor Strange. You already have the Desperate Defenses, so no need to mention him. But just because of the unflappable Brother Voodoo, who can find your key events, and then Iron Fist again with some form of control with the stunning, I thought was pretty good. All right, I'm tired of protection. All right, so the fourth hero pack that I would recommend, it's a very different build. It is the Hulk hero pack. Why? Because then you can start using your high defense as a tool to deal lots of damage with cards like Toe to Toe. Because Groot's kit is half mental, half physical, cards like Dropkick start making sense, drawing cards, stunning the villain. Also, it comes with the martial prowess, and then Brawn, who can help with threat removal. So those were like, that's what I thought was like, that's going to be the best that we can offer. So Hulk. Hey, Hulk made a top list. Amazing. And then my honorable mention goes back again to SPDR. The reason why, again, that repurpose is super fun, but not because of repurpose, mostly because of this force field generator. Because it is a forced interrupt, you can choose where you want to remove the counters. So you can really grow those growth counters super fast with the force field generator. And then you can just start, let's take those off here instead and keep my growth counters to 10, and then really go with these I Am Groots and these massive, massive I Am Groot attacks or I Am Groot threat removal. So there you go, guys. So that was Groot in a nutshell. Hope you guys enjoyed. Groot, again, a little bit more of a complicated character. Another character that needs a lot of time to set up and build. Protection is probably the fastest way to build Groot. But once you take him into some of the different aspects like aggression and stuff like that, use the Groot counters, not to play those I Am Groots, but just those, root stomps, and use that defense to block, and then just use aggression events. Man, you are making it. So there you go, guys. So hope these little strategies on Groot will help you play the game with Groot and use those tangling vines to beat the game. All right, good night. I'm tired. It's like super late. Good night.